We are here at MJG Studios for the latest installment of the Community Pulse, where we take the pulse of community so we can take action. Welcome to PCS's MJG Studios. This is the Community Pulse. Welcome to MJG Studios here at Proactive Community Services. This is the Community Pulse, where we take the pulse of the community so that we can take action. By now, you know who I am. I'm Kenny Brown. Don't call me Kenneth. I feel like I'm in trouble. And I'm back once again with my favorite Kendall Matias.
What's up, everybody?
So you've been enjoying her and us now for a couple of episodes, a couple of weeks, however you choose to watch it, maybe even a couple of hours. And today, this is our third installment of what I've really come to enjoy. I've learned a lot from you so far.
Thank you, Kenny.
And so what are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to talk about the history of LGBTQ Pride Month and the importance of resistance and continuing the movement.
Can I say piece de resistance? Is that okay to say?
Be my guest.
Piece de resistance. So we're talking about LGBTQ Pride Month. And so how do we want to get started? Tell us what Pride is.
So LGBTQ Pride is a celebration that started in remembrance of the Stonewall Inn riots. The Stonewall Inn riots happened on June 28th of 1969. In 1969, it was illegal to be gay.
Was that like nationwide or?
Nationwide.
Okay.
It was illegal to practice homosexuality. And how this manifested was it was illegal to be a cross-dresser. It was illegal for two men or two women to hold hands in public. If it was discovered that two men or two women were in a homosexual relationship, they could be thrown into jail.
And this was in like another country?
No, this was here in the United States of America.
Contrary to my salt and pepper beard, I was not born in 1969. So that was a legit question.
Yeah. Please. And so through the 1960s and the freedom of love movement, people all over the country were practicing their love out loud and in public, as opposed to more in the 40s and 50s when people were very conservative with being affectionate towards one another. Okay. So what started to naturally happen throughout the country, but it was really concentrated in San Francisco and in New York City, is where a lot of these communities found one another, is there started to be underground spaces.
And this is like before the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. This is way before the internet. There started to be underground spaces where people would find each other, like-minded people, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender adults would find each other in, most of the time, they were bars. And that is where they could go to be safe. But because we still had homosexuality criminalization laws where you could go to prison, or even they could put you in an insane asylum as well, which sounds wild to say in 2026.
Being classified as a mental illness. When I was in college, I learned about that. Being classified as a mental illness, and there were these, and then in the religious sector, there was like to pray away the gay, and
absolutely,
some of the other things that happened.
Don't ask, don't tell in the U.S. military, and that was as recently as the 2000s.
Now I do remember that. I am old enough for that. So as a quick side quest, we're going to come back to this.
Okay, sorry if I'm getting too on my soapbox.
No. And this is a personal question. This has nothing to do with our subject matter, but it does. You were talking about the criminalization of like people holding hands or displaying affection. How do you feel about PDA just generally? How does that go with you?
I think that your tongue should maybe stay in your own mouth in public.
Okay.
And then, if people hold hands, that's cool.
So one of my icks, just so you guys know, I'm always like, there's people who are like overly gropey.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, it's like, what are we doing right now?
Like we're in line at Six Flags and we have to tell out the whole world how much we love each other.
And it's like, there's a kid like, what's that? Like, that's something, that's privacy.
Yeah.
I was just asking about that, because when you said it, I was like, I wonder like what type of PDA that was. But go ahead. So you're talking about the freedom of love movement.
Yeah, freedom of love movement. People start to find community in, most of the time they were in bars.
Okay.
But because these laws still existed, police officers would often raid these spaces. The cops would go in and just start rounding people up,
In bars.
In bars that were known to be gay and lesbian bars.
And just start also used to be illegal.
Well, yeah, but this was after Prohibition was done. They would just start rounding people up. So what started to build was a lot of tension in these communities, where they would go and they would say, I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of not being allowed to be who I am. Mm-hmm. This is how I know who I am. And on June 28th, 1969, a riot started in the Stonewall Inn in New York City, which is a bar that exists to this day.
Have you ever been?
I've never been, but it is actually a national park.
Really?
It is preserved as a national park in recognition of the beginning of the Pride movement.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And there was a large riot that happened between the patrons of the bar and the New York City Police Department. And solidarity riots blew up all over the country.
And this is in 1969?
This is in 1969.
Wow.
And so how Pride started was the last Sunday of June. For a couple of years, they held like in memoriam parades to start remembering and not forgetting and keeping up a lot of the momentum that had started to build around the Stonewall riots. And so now what we then see is essentially an avalanche that occurs where it can't be held in anymore. And you start to see the national attitudes around LGBTQ identities slowly start to shift. Mm-hmm. And at a very bare minimum, you start to see the criminalization laws become overturned.
And you know what? I brought up Prohibition because I'm thinking about how, alcohol used to be illegal. Mm-hmm. This used to be illegal. Like, marijuana used to be illegal. Mm-hmm. It seems like the first response is to criminalize something, and it's like, oh, well, maybe it's not that bad.
Well, I think we can also make it about collective liberation, right? Whether we're talking about women's right to vote or have a credit card without their husband or own a house, or we're talking about Black people and their rights to vote or being able to live inside of certain neighborhoods and redlining. All of these things are intricately aligned with one another. And that's actually another concept coined by Kimberly Crenshaw called intersectionality.
And we'll talk about intersectionality in 1 second. Let's take a quick break. We got some information that you need to know because you need to hear this. Be right back.
Welcome to PCS. Today, we're discussing an important aspect of HIV prevention, non-occupational post-exposure prophylaxis, or NPEP. Let's explore what NPEP is, how it works, and when it's recommended. NPEP is a short-term medication regimen that helps prevent HIV infection after potential exposure to the virus. It consists of antiretroviral drugs taken for 28 days, which can reduce the risk of HIV transmission if started within 72 hours of exposure. NPEP is recommended for individuals who may have been exposed to HIV through unprotected sex, sharing needles, or other high-risk activities. It's important to seek medical attention as soon as possible after exposure to assess the need for NPEP. Getting started on NPEP involves a few key steps. Firstly, seek medical care immediately after potential exposure to HIV. Your healthcare provider will conduct tests to assess your risk and determine if NPEP is appropriate for you. The benefits of NPEP are significant. By taking the medication as prescribed, you can greatly reduce the risk of HIV transmission and protect your health. It's a crucial option for individuals who may have had a potential exposure to HIV. If you believe you've been exposed to HIV and are considering NPEP, don't wait. Seek medical care immediately or visit our website to find a healthcare provider who can assess your situation and provide guidance on accessing NPEP.
We are back. Cans for the Win is back at NJG Studios. We are talking Pride Month with the great, legendary Kendall Matias. Before we went on break, and before you got that much needed info, we were talking about intersectionality. It's another word that I can say flawlessly. So talk to us about what intersectionality looks like.
Yeah, intersectionality and pride, they really go hand in hand. Intersectionality was coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, and it is the concept that people's overlapping identities create unique experiences. So the concept of intersectionality basically lays out that the life experience and levels of privilege and maybe oppression experienced by a white, gay, cisgender man are very different than the experiences of a transgender, maybe straight Black woman. And even though they are both a part of the LGBTQ community, they experience very different levels of oppression and trauma throughout their lives.
Okay. Oppression and trauma is something that we all know a little something about. I know there's been a lot of criticism about Pride Month, Pride and what it represents, because I think the large take, or the most common take that I've seen at least, is that it's like this perverse group of people getting together to corrupt other people and all of these different things. What do you say in response to thoughts like that, or to criticism like that?
Yeah, I've definitely heard that, although I'd say we all operate in bubbles, and I think I'm mostly in circles where pride is celebratory. Mm-hmm. But when I'm looking or responding to people that say that pride is perverse, or that it's not family friendly, and maybe children shouldn't be at pride, I would look at them and I would say, do we expect straight people to come out and ask or tell people, hey, I'm really attracted to men, or I'm really attracted to women? Or do we ask to cover our children's eyes when they're watching a Disney movie and a man and a woman kiss? At the end of the day, LGBTQ identities are not something that are contagious. They're not something that can be passed from one person to another person. It's not something that you're suddenly going to open your eyes because you have been to one pride parade and now you are a gay man. If that is an experience where you go to a pride parade, or you're exposed to ideas that you haven't been exposed to before, and you say, hey, maybe that's me, that's something that's always existed inside of you.
If that's the case, can I go to a millionaires parade so I can go there and be a millionaire when I open my eyes?
Yeah. So when people say that it's perverse and other people shouldn't be around it, if you feel that way, that's fine. You don't have to go. But these are spaces that provide a much needed sanctuary and a much needed, source of community for people that have not always been accepted in our world.
Okay. Up to the point where it was, you said, illegal.
It was for many years.
Yeah, it was illegal. Imagine that. The criminalization of what that feels like. Because I've only existed in this time frame. So oftentimes I'll hear stories about, days past, and I still see the remnants of it today. But I've always known, for lack of a better term, like this freedom that we have now, or the freedom that exists.
Well, and LGBTQ rights are still under attack. Pride is still important. It was in 2016 that Illinois legalized gay marriage between two men or two women. And there was, again, an avalanche that was happening throughout the country of legalization of that. But we've seen those rights start to be questioned and argued at the Supreme Court level.
Yeah.
And so as much as we win, and it can be 5 steps forward, it's also 4 steps back. And we can't take our foot off the gas and get too comfortable, because people forget. I think people forget that it is so recently that these things have changed and that the rights have become more equal.
Yeah. You know what I think about what that looks like, just in different circles. You said something, I think maybe a episode ago. Go back and check it out to see which one it was. We were talking about just humanity. And I always say you can put accepting people over agreeing with people. And I think you kind of just said that with your statement. Even if you don't want to go, or you don't want to support, or you don't want to come, You have to accept people for being human first.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with choices and anything else, no matter what it is, right? As long as it's not hurting, harming, or breaking somebody's confidence or something like that, or being negative, then what harm does it do to someone to see people celebrate things, right?
Yeah.
And I know we recently, PCS, Proactive Community Services, under the leadership of Kendall Matias, she went out to a Homewood Flossmoor Pride event.
We were at Homewood Flossmoor Pride on Friday. It was really, really fun.
So knowing the history and then being able to go out with, because you had staff with you and had a table and you checked the vehicles and all of that?
No, we did not.
You didn't check the vehicles? But you got to check out the PCS vehicles. Can you show the PCS mobiles? Like when I'm saying the PCS vehicles, that'd be really cool if you clicked on it. But no, seriously.
Yeah.
So you went out with staff, set up a table. What was that like, knowing the history of Pride from 1969 to 2026? How was that?
As you know, we say all the time Pride started as a riot, but the event that we were at on Friday, it just felt like a summer festival.
Okay.
And it was really, really fun. There were community resources from all over. We had multiple therapists' office and a couple of politicians and a couple of churches were there also. And then other than that, there was a band and food trucks. And
what kind of food was it though? Sorry, I need to know. I didn't go. I mean, I have to know.
You know, the Southside classics like Bona Beef and rainbow cone. There was a bubble tea. There was a taco shop. It was great. It was great.
Shout out to Bona Beef, sponsor us. No, but
yeah, and then there was a choir that performed and sang some Pride classics. There was a band that performed, and you know what? I saw people truly through the entire lifespan at this event. I saw little babies, and I saw people that are at the end stages of their life, and I saw everyone in between. And everyone was having fun and laughing and getting their face painted with rainbows. And it was a space where I think everybody felt welcome.
Okay. So it was not a gross over display of PDA or perversion or something like that. It was like a summer festival.
It was honestly
great food that I wish you told me was going to be there, because I would have went up there and got some of that great food, but no. So it was a great family-friendly event.
It was a family-friendly event. It was great.
From 1969 to 2026. Shout out to Homewood Flossmoor for putting on a great event. Proactive Community Services is actually located in Flossmoor. So shout out to Homewood Flossmoor community for putting on such a great family-friendly event and having some great food that I didn't know was going to be there, because I saw the flyer, but I did not see the food truck information, and I'm hurting now. But no. So knowing that history, being able to do that today, and you talked about churches and choirs being present. So what does that look like? Because I know a lot of the backlash about Pride, about the events, about the decisions and everything that goes into having these festivals, faces a lot of scrutiny in the church. What is the response to that from you? This is not a church response. She's not speaking on behalf of the church. Just a personal thing, because you're so versed in this dynamic.
I think it varies so broadly, like denomination to denomination.
Yeah.
And that's, whether you're talking about Christianity, Judaism, or Islam, or any religious background. But the most I can speak on is the Christian church. And it varies very, very broadly. You have church communities where they have church leadership, pastors that are members of the community themselves. And then you also have denominations where they practice more of a don't ask, don't tell model, where all people are welcome and all people are loved, but they often say, we love the sinner and not the sin, which at its core is still asserting that this person's natural way of being is sinful.
Okay.
And so I think it's very complicated what it is in the church. I have definitely seen a similar improve of people's beliefs around being gay and being Christian and being gay and what that means about shame. And I think that we entered a really golden period in the late 20-teens around LGBTQ identities in the church. And now what we've started to see is that some churches are continuing down that very progressive path of being very welcoming. And then we're also seeing some churches that were very welcoming rescind and kind of contract back into more of a conservative way of thinking. And so it's also something to acknowledge that a lot of LGBTQ folks have what they would call religious trauma around sitting in church communities and being told that who they are is sinful.
Yeah. I think that this is one of those subject matters, much like anything else we discuss, especially on the community post, because we're taking a post of the community so PCS can take action. But I think a lot of this conversation is like ongoing.
Yeah.
It's not something that we can sit down and talk about in a 30-minute spot.
Organic.
You know? Because people have so many, people are in the fields.
Yeah.
And when people get in the fields, it gets real, right? And we can, you talked about intersectionality. This can be applied across multiple dynamics.
Oh, of course.
Different subject matters. And it's something that we need to continue to have conversation about, because I don't think any consideration can come without conversation. We got to be able to converse about this in a way where we're hearing each other and listening too. I've seen so many debates, and I'm on the TikToks and the Instagrams and all of that stuff, and I see people with these like street corner debates going back and forth. And while entertaining, I don't know how helpful that is. You know what I mean? Because trying to call someone out, good, bad, or indifferent, in front of a group of people, you know, and hold them to a standard that you said that they might not agree with, doesn't really seem like the best way to create community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And when you're talking about what pride means for you and what you've seen, what you've witnessed, and what you've learned over the course of your life, it sounds like a community of people who just want to be heard.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, can we not hear each other out, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And you've heard us, and you want to hear more from us, so we'll be right back after this.
Whether you're a member of the community, you have a loved one, a friend, or you're just an ally, from all of us here at Proactive Community Services, happy Pride.
Tag team back again. It's Ken and Ken. We for the win. So we are back at the Community Post. Thank you all for sticking with us this long. We've been talking about Pride with the great Kendall Matias. So we've talked about the history. We've talked about the present. What does Pride look like going forward?
Yeah, I think that's a really awesome question. I think what I hope Pride looks like going forward is continuing to make ourselves loud and present and not back away from communities that are maybe becoming more afraid of supporting LGBTQ people. Okay. And continuing to hold several brands that for years supported LGBTQ pride and this year have backed off, maybe holding those brands accountable. Mm-hmm. For a long time, when corporations became involved in pride, there was an internal kind of a lot of controversy and community conversation in the LGBTQ community about corporations at Pride. And there was a large contingent that said, we don't want corporations at Pride. They don't really care about us. They're just here to make a buck. And what we've kind of seen is that that is true, that as the world and a changing federal landscape has kind of retracted around DEI and retracted around support of trans people, that these companies have backed out. Mm-hmm. So what I would like to see is that community resilience stay strong, that we remember that our roots of Pride is a riot, and that while it is about fun and summer festivals, it's also about holding our political leaders accountable and not letting them forget how far we have come, but how far we still have to go.
We've gotten far and we have further to go. Thank you for joining us on the Community Pulse. We will see you next time. Ken is out.
Thanks,
Peace.
y'all.